Okay, let's look at the next one, 10.3. Thome Company uses a flexible budget for manufacturing overhead based on direct labor hours. Variable manufacturing overhead costs per direct labor hours are as follows. Indirect labor hours is $1, indirect materials 60 cents, and utilities are at 40 cents. Fixed overhead costs per month are supervision at $4,000, depreciation of $1,200, and property taxes for $800. The company believes it will normally operate in a range of 7,000 to 10,000 direct labor hours per month. We need to prepare a monthly manufacturing overhead flexible budget for 2014 for the expected range of activity using $1,000 increments. So how are we going to do this? Let's come up here and look at this. So we've got Thome Company. Thome Company, and we've got here our monthly manufacturing overhead flexible budget. Budget for the year 2014, okay? So we're going to start with activity level. Our activity level of direct labor hours, we're going to have direct labor hours of 7,000, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? How many of you guys can see that okay? Does that help? Then we're going to have our variable costs. What are our variable costs, guys? Indirect labor is how much? And what about our indirect materials? And what about our utilities? So we've got then total variable costs of $2 per unit. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to calculate this based on $1. So here we're at 7,000, here it's 8,000, 9, and 10. Right? Our indirect materials, 60 cents on 7,000 is times 60, 4,200, 4,800, 5,400, and 6,000. And then 7,000 on 40 cents, 2,800, 3,200, 3,600, and 4,000. So then we've got our 14,000, 16, 18, and 20,000. Right? How are you guys doing? Our fixed costs, are they going to change with activity level? right? So our total fixed cost here $6,000 across the board. Now total cost for both fixed and variable is going to be our 6 here plus our variable costs to determine our total cost throughout the period. There. So basically here we've got our total cost with 7,000 labor hours. Activity level is at 20,000, 8,000, 22, 9,000, 24, and 10,000, 26. Any questions on this at all, guys? What? Sure. Do you mind taking this? Did anyone start attendance? Okay. Do you mind taking this and put managerial on that side? Thank you, dear. Yes. I'm sorry. How are you guys doing? This is a tough time of the semester, isn't it? You're getting antsy, you're ready to be done, and you're so close. Guys, we're so close. Can't you taste it? You just got to hang in there. Yes. Yes. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know. Who's your advisor? Who? You need to go ask him. Tell him you heard, and he told me to get it up, so it's not up yet, is it? Yes. Let's move on to the next one. Hey guys, let's go through 2 more problems, okay? Hang in there with me. Using the information in 10E, assume that in July, Tome Company incurs the following manufacturing overhead costs. So we've got our variable cost and our fixed costs. Now we need to prepare a flexible budget performance report, assuming that the company worked 9,000 direct labor hours during the month. Prepare a flexible budget performance report, assuming that the company worked 8,500 direct labor hours per month, and we're going to talk about our findings. So what are we going to do here, guys? Yes? Do y'all want me to do it? Yes. I'm happy to do it, but I'm not going to talk over you guys. No offense. So we're going to manufacturing overhead flexible budget. We're going to have direct labor hours. And we've got budget. Sorry, let me insert. We've got budget at 9,000 direct labor hours. Budget at, or actual costs at 9,000 direct labor hours. And then we're going to have the difference, be it favorable or unfavorable, Okay? Okay. So our supervision costs are $4,000. Our depreciation's $1,200, and our property taxes are $800. So that's going to remain constant there. And so now let's look at our indirect labor hours. They are budgeted at $9,000. Our indirect materials were budgeted at $5,400, and our utilities at $3,600. What actually happened, guys? What was our actual indirect labor? 8,800. And what was our actual indirect materials? And our utilities? So we're showing here all are favorable, aren't they? We came in under on all of them, didn't we? They're all favorable. Favorable, favorable, and favorable. Okay? So ultimately our total here is $700 favorable, isn't it? Our total here, $17,300, and with our various costs, do you see how we ultimately have double bottom border? We ultimately have costs of $24,000, actual of $23,000, and we've got a favorable variance of $700 favorable, don't we? Okay. Do you want me to keep that up for a minute?
Well, it always be like that, always give us the numbers directly.
What do you mean?
I like the actual cost, I don't really
Yeah.
have to figure anything out.
It might get a little trickier, but hang in there with me, okay? Anybody, can I move on? Wait a minute. Can I move on? Okay. Now, it asks us to prepare a flexible budget performance report, assuming that the company worked 8,500 direct labor hours during the period. What are we going to do different there? We're going to change the one number. Sorry, guys, I lost my stuff here. How? I don't know. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now by switching it to a 8,500 direct labor hours, what are we going to do to change this? Much? Not a whole lot, are we? What are we going to do here? Okay, so basically what we're going to do, here is the budget showing at 8,500. We've still got our indirect labor of $1, our indirect materials of 60 cents, and our utilities of 40 cents, don't we? Right? No? Yes? Okay. So here, we're just basically going to change the budgeted. Instead of being 9,000, we're going to switch it over to 8,500. And look what happens here, guys. In the previous one, we had favorable. We've got more unfavorable here, don't we? Our indirect labor hours budgeted were 8,500, but actually they came in at 88. That makes it unfavorable because actual costs are greater than what our budgeted costs were. Same is true with our indirect materials, but our utility, the actual cost came in lower. Okay? I'm going to have this online for you guys. C asks us, what are our findings? What happened here, guys?
The less direct labor hours they had, the more unfavorable costs they had.
The less direct labor hours, the more unfavorable costs. The performance for the month was satisfactory. In case B, management may need to determine the causes of the unfavorable differences for indirect labor and materials. Since the differences are small, they might not matter. They might look at it as insignificant in material and let it go. Okay?
So how large does the difference have to be for it to
It really depends on the operation that they're running. Here, it's basically 3% of the budgeted costs. So they're looking at 3%. Probably a 5% is a probably standard variance. So if it's under 5%, they might look at that as insignificant. It's really going to vary. But my guess to tell you is 5% would be the fence. Okay? You guys want to do one more before we head out? Two more? Tell me. Let's look at let's look at 10.6. The actual selling expenses incurred in March of 2014 by DeWitt Company are shown here, variable expenses and fixed expenses. We are going to prepare a flexible budget using prepare a flexible budget performance report for March using the budget data in E10.5, assuming that March's sales were 170,000. Okay? So what we're going to begin to do is start, bless you. I'm going to just kind of change this up here. I'm going to use DeWitt Company, and this is selling expense flexible budget report for the month ended, whoops, for the month ended March 31st, 2014. So we're going to have our budgeted budget, our actual, and our difference. This is going to be sales. This is going to be variable expenses. Sales, commissions, advertising, travel, delivery, total variable expenses. And here we've got our sales of 170. And what actually came in? Sales actual were 170. Oops. And actual came in at what? What did actual come in at, guys? Assuming March sales were 170. Okay? So we're going to show actual sales of 170 also. Okay? So what we're going to do here our sales commissions were what? Budgeted? The actual were 11,000. What were budgeted? $6 of the sales, or what would that be? Anyone know what 6% of those sales would be? $10,200. And advertising came in at $6,900. What was budgeted? $6,800. Okay? The travel was budgeted at 5,100, it came in at 5,100. The delivery was 3,400, or the actual was 3,450, it came in at 3,400. So we can look at the variances here.
Budget was 3,450.
The actual was 3,450, the budgeted was 3,400. So basically what happened here is we have the budget of 25,500, the actual ended up being 26,450, which came up with an unfavorable variance of 950. Unfavorable. Okay? So ultimately here, our fixed expenses stayed the same, but our total expenses ended up being the 25,500 plus the 6,000. Excuse me here, what am I doing wrong? The sales salaries, I never got this part. Sales salaries of 35,000. The depreciation of 7. And insurance of 1. Bless you. So we've got here 43,000 are our fixed costs. Our total costs ended up coming in here at a variance, unfavorable variance of 950. Okay? We will pick, let's just finish the next portion. Any questions on this before we move on? Now we need to prepare a flexible budget performance report, assuming that March sales were 180,000 instead of 170,000. So we're going to budget 180. Our actuals 180. Our sales commissions should be 10.8, but they actually came in at 11. Our advertising should be 7,200, 5,400, 3,600, and yet we're keeping our actual where it is. Our fixed is going to remain the same. But look what happens here. This ends up being favorable. I'm sorry, what? The first example was unfavorable, excuse me. This one here is unfavorable. You're right. That one is unfavorable, but all the others are favorable, which ultimately leads to a favorable variance of $550. Okay? So at the 170,000 of sales, the manager was way over the budget. But at 180,000 of sales, the manager was under budget. Favorable. Any questions on this before we